Okay, everybody, here we are, man. Back again. This is side 2, ZZ Top, ZZ Top's first album. And hey, man, side 1 was excellent. Really, really nice. I guess I would say first deep dive into the classic era of ZZ Top. Just like with Aerosmith and Fleetwood Mac, ZZ Top has a classic era from the 70s. They've got a blues, southern rock background, and they are one of those bands that have transitioned well into the 80s. Of course, growing up in the 80s, that's how I know them. But I'm looking forward to this shit, man. There are a lot of you who've been saying to me, oh man, wait till you get into what they call the deep cuts of ZZ Top, their beginnings, their blues beginnings and all of that sort of thing. So man, lots of really good enthusiasm about the early years of ZZ Top. So I'm totally on that hype train, man. All right, so side 1 was great. Looking forward to the same thing for side 2, man. So let's check this out. ZZ Top's first album, side 2. Let's get it.
Neighbor, neighbor, why you messing in my life? Neighbor, neighbor, you've been talking to my wife, telling her you seen me running while the other night. Neighbor, neighbor, always one in every crowd. Neighbor, neighbor, telling lies and talking loud.
We all
You
got a
better
neighbor.
watch your step. You might fall off your cloud. You might fall off your cloud.
It's a nice rich sound, isn't it? Coming from just 3 lads.
Now I was walking down a dusty road when along
Excellent.
came a neighbor of mine. Saw me walking with my head on down, just had to stop and pass the time. A neighbor, 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 floating in the salty brine, floating in the salty brine.
Okay, hey. I thought there'd be more, but hey, it's all good. Short and sweet. Excellent.
I woke up this morning with this certified blues. They sure been slapping me round. So down and out I couldn't tie my shoes. They about to drive me in the ground.
I missed it. What's the cause of his blues? So he's broke, and his woman is lying. That devil woman treating a good man wrong. They're great musicians, man. I could just see myself catching them on a live show. They'd be so good live, playing these tunes. false ending. Good extensions. There we go. Now we got a fade. Excellent. That was an excellent jam. Bedroom thing.
She bounced that light.
Now I just got back from baby. We've been rolling all night long. No, I just got back from baby. We've been rolling all night long. She come on like she love me, but I feel like something wrong. Now sometime I go see baby, and sometimes she come see me. Well, sometime I go see baby, and sometimes the baby come see me. I got a funny, funny feeling I'm not the only man she sees.
It's a good extension.
Oh, just got back from baby, a big white house on the hill. I said I just got back from baby, a big white house on the hill. If her loving don't get me, I know her husband will.
There's a man down there. Might be your husband. I don't know. Excellent. Nice extended jam.
party says that you ain't there. Just like cause you on the telephone, the party says that you ain't there. So when a man asks who's calling, I say just tell him it's a fact of love affair. Got to have you, baby, even though you say that you don't care. Got to have you, baby, even though you say that you don't care. Any way you want it, baby, I'll settle for a back door love affair. Oh, yes, I will.
Great example of a band who took the blues and made it their own. There's more energy there. There's also more entertainment value. Nice long outro. All right, man. That is ZZ Top's first album, Side 2. That was an excellent album. Both Side 1 and Side 2 were excellent. Every single song. I don't consider a single song on this album to be filler, meaning I wouldn't skip one. Excellent. The whole album is just very, very, very well tempered throughout. Very, very consistent. Really, really good, man. What a great, great first outing for a band. You know, especially coming up in those times, rubbing shoulders with the likes of Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. Of course, Zeppelin were doing their thing, and some of the other really great bands. Hey, really, really good first outing to say, here we are, right? Excellent. Oh, man. I am going to dig the hell out of this month, boy, let me tell you. And I am very, very determined. And a lot of my, especially patrons, were saying, hey, man, you got to get to Eliminator. No matter what you do, get to Eliminator. So I'm going to get to Eliminator no matter what I do. I'm not going to compromise what's on my itinerary, though. I am a little behind on my complimentary quads, and I am not going to give up on those. I'm going to catch up to my complimentary quads this month, for sure. My New Year's resolution is not going to slip. I'm behind by about 2 weeks already, and it's not going to fall further than that. I'm on point with my Zeppelin reactions. I let my Patreon exclusive slip a little bit, but I'm not going to let my complimentary quads outpace me, and I'm definitely going to hit the first 8 albums, Eliminator. Eliminator. So that is my goal for the month of March. You are my witnesses, right? Unless something really, I don't know, a couple of our heroes pass on and I got to do a bunch of these things, or unless something crazy happens at work, I am catching up. All right. So, great album, man. Great album. Fantastic blues, great musicianship. These guys really, first impressions being back there. When was this released? In 1970? You knew that these guys, oh my gosh, who are these guys? They have the elements of being really great. And probably if they can extend this and give us a few more albums, they've got my fandom, because now they're here for a while. They're going to stick around, you know what I mean? So the first album is always a very exciting thing when you see a new artist come through, and then they follow up with a second and a third, and there you go. Now they're household names. It's exciting to actually be a part of that moment in time, taking that walk with a new artist, man. So, ZZ Top, man, first album. I'm just going to do a little read here, man. Get a little background on these guys, and see what we can learn about the music, the motivation, the vision, that sort of good stuff that I like, aside from the music. Okay. So Wikipedia here doesn't have a lot of information about the first album. It's just about 3 paragraphs, and there's a review by AllMusic. Not a lot, but definitely enough you can learn something. Let's see. So ZZ Top. ZZ Top's first album is the debut studio album by American rock band ZZ Top. It was produced by manager Bill Ham and was released January 16, 1971. On London Records. Establishing their attitude and humor, ZZ Top incorporated boogie, hard rock, southern rock influences in their sound. Thematically, the album is lively, playful, and at times brash, filled with the band's personal experiences and sexual innuendos that became central to the group's image. Seeking inspiration from Fleetwood Mac, ZZ Top began recording the album at Robin Hood Studios in Tyler, Texas. Yeah, Fleetwood Mac. So this would definitely be Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. It's funny, man. When I think of Fleetwood Mac, I think of Peter Green now. I don't think of Buckingham Nicks era as much as I do the Peter Green era. Yeah, it's amazing how that is. Just completely shifted my entire tide of thinking. Speaking of Fleetwood Mac, I got a Fleetwood Mac reaction coming up for Sarah. So, Somebody Else, Been Shaking Your Tree was the only single released from the album. ZZ Top frontman Billy Gibbons said of the title, quote, "We called the record ZZ Top's first album because we wanted everyone to know that there would be more. We weren't certain if we'd get another chance in the studio, but we had high hopes." Gibbons also said, quote, "We had been together for about 6 months and were knocking around the bar scene, playing all the usual funky joints. We took the studio on as an extension of the stage show. The basics were all of us playing together in one room, but we didn't want to turn our backs on contemporary recording techniques. To give our sound as much presence and support as possible, we became a little more than a 3-piece with the advantages of overdubbing. It was the natural kind of support, some rhythm guitar parts, a little bit of texture, that was about it." Unquote. Okay, and so yeah, let's go down to reception. And this is a AllMusic review by Stephen Thomas Erlewine. Erlewine says, "ZZ Top's first album may not be perfectly polished, but it does establish their sound, attitude, and quirks. Simply put, it's a dirty little blues rock record filled with fuzzy guitars, barrel house rhythms, dirty jokes, and Texan slang. They had a good, ballsy sound that hits at gut level, and if the record's not entirely satisfying, it's because they're still learning how to craft records, which means that they're still learning pacing as much as they're learning how to assemble a set of indelible material. Too much of this record glides by on its sound without offering any true substance, but the tracks that really work Somebody Else Been Shaking Your Tree, Backdoor Love Affair, Brown Sugar, and Going Down to Mexico, among them, show that from their very first record on, ZZ Top was that little old blues band from Texas, unquote. Right, yeah, I've heard them being described this way before. That little old blues band from Texas. Yeah. A number of you in the comments actually described them this way too. So I guess that's how they get introduced before they probably hit the stage, I'm guessing. Okay, yeah, so not a lot of write up about the first album, but it's cool that we at least got to hear from Billy Gibbons, as to how they were going to proceed and their intention as to doing some more studio work, which is cool. So they got introduced to the studio right off the hop, and they were only maybe 6 months together, he said, knocking around the bar scene. So that's pretty early in their career to hit the studio, which is cool. So they probably had some people guiding them, saying, hey man, hit the studio and let's get a classic cut and put this down so that we have something to remember you by, and it's not just one good show after another and then everyone forgets about it and it's not being recorded. So good, whoever is pushing them in that direction, really good, man. Or maybe it's them themselves, they knew that they were going to head into that direction, perhaps. Yeah, 1970, who knows, man? Who knows what people were thinking in regards to if they were good enough, to cut the studio stuff or not, or if they're just going to hit the road and then dissipate after a few years. I imagine there was a lot of that kind of thinking back then. So we probably didn't hear from a lot of really fantastic groups. They only did a circuit and then they were gone, you know what I mean? It might not have occurred to them, hey, let's hit the studio. Yeah, it was going to cost you money to hit the studio and stuff like that. So maybe those factors played in, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, hang on a sec, man. I got a sneezing fit coming up. Yeah, so, man, spring has sprung and I'm sneezing my ass off. Something is in the air. Anyway, oh man, fantastic album, great review, good write-up, not a lot of info, but decent enough to kind of give you an idea of where they were at. And I'm just speculating too about, contemporary bands around that time, late 60s, early 70s, some just deciding to stick to the stage, not going to the studio because of costs, and as a result, sadly, we probably didn't hear from a lot of excellent acts back then. What do you think of that? If you're a musician type, am I on it? I'm just guessing. Do you think that it has a little bit of merit there, what I'm saying? Or, I don't know, did everybody back then know, hey, the studio's the way to go, so let's scrimp and save or do whatever we can and try hard to get into the studio? Let me know about that. How did a lot of people determine how to make it big back then? I guess that's my question. Just hit the road, get exposed to a whole bunch of eyes, and maybe the right pair of eyes will approach you? Or hit the studio and then go by way of radio? That's kind of like the fork in the road. Let me know about that, especially if you were around back then. If you were an adult back then, around the late 60s, 70s, and where was everybody going? Where were their direction? Or if you know your music well and you got a good beat on rock history, that's important shit. For me, that is what I would really, really like to get into, because that's part of what I'm calling that whole Renaissance period of creativity. You know what I'm saying? You hear me talk about that all the time. So that would be a chapter in that book, So let me know about that. And, here I go daydreaming again. If I was to be ever interviewing these guys, that's one of those questions I would ask them. Where were you guys back in 1969, 1970 in the way of your thinking as to how to approach getting notarized, how to approach getting famous and popular? But of course, it isn't just about fame and popularity. It's about how do you make the money? So what platform, where were you going to go? Were there two big trains of thought? One big batch of groups would decide just to hit the road and forget about the studio, and then some would say, no, let's hit the studio. You know what I mean? So that's a question that I would definitely ask them, man. All right. So that is my reaction, and of course review. Went right into the review here. Because I'm pretty much now getting back into the YouTube thing, getting onto YouTube slowly, but I'm going to get all the Led Zeppelins uploaded first, and then eventually I'll get all of the... so I'm going to try and backtrack to when I first posted my notice that I was leaving YouTube, and just go from there, and then just upload all of that stuff that from that point, you know, and then go from there. And so then go back in time, whatever kind of notable reactions I feel that people really liked, I'll make sure that I upload those. If you have a specific reaction in mind, whatever, recommend it to me, let me know, and I'll make sure that I upload it. I'm not going to re-upload all 500 of my videos. I think I'll just kind of like go with the top, I don't know, the top 100, you know, that sort of thing, and just basically reset the clock somewhat. Anyway, so notes, man. I'm just scrolling down. Got more. I got some quads coming. Akachita, Sarah, Robert, Matteo. I got a couple of new patrons. The Prophet Elijah. So there's a number of quads that I got to do, and I'm a touch behind, but I'm gonna get my butt in gear and get those done, man. Yeah, okay, and I mentioned coming back to YouTube and the slow process. And apologies too, man. Neil Young. Oh, man. Sticking point about Neil. I got so busy last month. And I know some of you got upset at me about it. Sorry about that. Life happens, and work was just kicking the hell out of me. But yeah, I want to do Neil some justice, man. So at any point in time down the road, let's get Neil in for another Artist of the Month, and I'll pick up where I left off. Or just send me a couple of quads, you know. And another thing too, being patrons, just addressing my patrons here, it's an ongoing relationship. So you know, there's your initial quad, and then of course you can always send me another quad. You don't have to just, you know, do an initial quad and then you're done. You can send me following up quads. Of course, there's a pecking order, and you're going to have to wait a little while, but you know, you understand. But yeah, man, where Neil is concerned, point being, if we don't get him in for another Artist of the Month, let's do a couple of more essential quads or something like that. You know where I left off, type of thing, and just say, okay, yeah, you missed this, this, and this. Check this out. Do this quad. You know. So where Neil is concerned, I definitely want to do him some justice, and do that. You know, I think what I only did overall in total about 6 albums once you break all the songs down. So, or maybe less than that. But I need to do more. That's my point. So about Neil Young, yeah, get back to me in regards to how I should proceed. Maybe another Artist of the Month run, or just a couple of quads over the next little bit. Yeah, man, that's my notes. So thanks for joining me, man. I'm gonna hit the second ZZ Top album probably tomorrow. I want to get at least the first 4 done before the 15th, before the middle of the month, and I want to get them out as soon as possible, get a head start, and then you know, if something happens, then at least I am really, really well into it. So that's the goal, that's the point. So needless to say, the ZZ Top reactions will be hitting you really, really hard and fast, kind of back to back for the first half of the month. That's the plan. So don't be surprised, okay? Anyways, man, thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed this. Oh man, I'm digging the hell out of this already. I am just looking forward to the second one, and I can't wait to get to it. Have a good day, man, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.